Well, well, well. How the turntables.
That's right, Mulan is officially held out. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and make sure to give this video a like to support the channel. It would mean a lot to me as we're almost to 100 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for the money that you've already paid for Disney Plus. You're going to have to pay $30 to see Mulan. Now, $30 for a movie does seem like a lot, but in hindsight, it actually isn't. If you think about a movie ticket being about $10 to $12 in the United States, it would only take about 3 people on the same account to watch Mulan for them to make their money back. And by them, I mean the audience. So in essence, Disney is losing money on this. But why are they doing it then? Well, at this point, it comes down to the theatrical release versus streaming, which is going to make more money. Now, like I mentioned before, Black Widow is going to make a ton of money when it comes out no matter what. But Mulan, like I said, is going to lose its relevance. And Disney can't afford to wait until mid-2021 when analysts say the theaters are going to open again. Disney's already spent a ton of money on this film and they're not just going to scrap it. And so because the film is a sunk cost essentially, they're going to try to make as much profit as they possibly can. By putting it out on Disney Plus, they acknowledge that they're not confident in a theatrical release for a film for the foreseeable future. Does this mean that eventually Black Widow is going to come on Disney Plus? I am hesitant on that. I think you're going to see films like Soul, Jungle Cruise, and The New Mutants come on Disney Plus before Black Widow does, because I think Black Widow is the biggest film that Disney is currently holding on to. That being said, this does pique my interest and does make me want to consider the possibility that maybe eventually, should things not return to normal in the foreseeable future, that Black Widow would come to Disney Plus at a certain point for maybe a little higher price, like $35 to $40. Because again, these movies are sunk costs if they're not shown to audiences. The money has already been spent. So at this point, it's about how to maximize profit for all of these projects. I do believe that with Black Widow, they still think that they can get a theatrical release and they can still get the fan base out and make a lot of money with that movie, and I tend to agree with that. However, with the Marvel Cinematic Universe stalled at this point, waiting for Black Widow to hit theaters, I don't know. There's a possibility there that Black Widow might release on Disney Plus at some point, and if things don't get better. And at this point, Disney is just trying to salvage as much as they can from 2020, trying to recoup the losses that have been ravaging the company for the past few months. So there you have it. Mulan is releasing on Disney Plus on September 4th, and it's going to cost about $30 on top of your Disney Plus subscription. Again, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications because I will be reviewing this film when it comes out, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, what are your thoughts on Mulan going to Disney Plus? Do you think that means that other films are going to Disney Plus as well, like New Mutants, Soul, Jungle Cruise, or even Black Widow? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and give this video a like, and make sure to comment down below with your thoughts. If you want to check out some more content, then check out the videos on the screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.